fly around forever and never run out of energy. Well, kinda. Permaflight was a big part in the past titles in Armored Core, especially in Armored Core 4, and permanent flight makes its dirty little appearance back in Armored Core 6, although it's not as elegant as the previous title, we can still manage it. This build feels really good exploring the map. This may not be the best build for PvP because it doesn't come with a ton of defenses and a ton of health, however it is speedy. It is a lot faster than some of the other flight builds, and you are actually able to dodge away from some of the melee attacks that may get you. Alright, let me go ahead and go over the build, and then after the build, we're going to go into some PvP clips. But first, show your support and help this small channel grow by hitting those like and subscribe buttons. Alright guys, and then here's my main PvP build. I just like using a mixture of weapons here. The most important piece is our chest piece because it has decent stats along with decent generator supply adjustment, which is the final stat here. It says the more quickly the generator resumes supply after an EN consuming action. We are actually going to be using a generator that actually has energy regeneration rather than the coral generator, mainly because it has the highest EN capacity and it also has decent stats when it comes to recharge and supply recovery. It is a heavy piece, but our boost speed is still around 327. So for our boosters, we're going to be going with the grid walkers. The main reason why is because we're looking for decent upward thrust, and the upward EN consumption is okay. Obviously, I think this is a better floater if you want to use the mule, but you're not moving upward as fast and you're not like quick bursting as fast. We are using this so we can at least have some decent dodge as well. The quick burst stats aren't the greatest, but they're decent enough because we do have really good upward thrust. And I'm gonna go ahead and do a little test here so you can see just how important that upward thrust is. Alright, before we get into the clips, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to operate this particular generator with your craft. It's quite simple. You're really just playing like the energy game normally without having to worry about going into the red bar just yet, but we can also go into the red bar. This is very helpful when you're actually playing PvE and you're traveling around. When flying around, your goal is actually to give yourself a few moments so the energy generation kind of comes up. So you're actually going to be falling down a little bit. You see how they're coming out as I'm falling down, and you just kind of coast back up. You don't want to just boost too often because you're not giving your generator enough time to give you any energy. Alright, so when we're exhausted fully, so I'm going to go ahead and burn all the energy. This is where the upward thrust becomes really important because we can actually maintain ourselves in the air while we're expending that little bit of energy that's left. So we get the most use out of that little bit of energy. Sometimes even if you feel like you're about to reach the ground, you can kind of use it to just get all the way back up. It does take a couple of tries to get all the way to the top of the stage. You can generally play a map doing this essentially for the entire duration of the map. So if you ever want to play on one of the Sky City maps and just kind of explore everything around it, you can literally just do this. There's a lot of permanent builds, and of course you can kind of just go quad and make it easier. This build's a little bit nimble. It's using bipedals, and generally bipedal legs are probably not viewed as the best legs in the game. They really are just kind of super standard. But hey, it looks cool, and this is just kind of what I'm rocking. And it does well enough in PvP, so if you guys want to give it a shot, go ahead. If you guys are interested in a more heavier type build, this is a lot easier to use, especially in PvP. You have a crap ton of health and a lot of defenses, as well as you can pump out a lot more damage because you get to carry your heavy weapons. The generator we're going to be using for this one is the coral generator. It's not one I generally like for my normal builds. So in order to permaflight with this particular type of craft, all you're really doing is holding down your boost button for essentially forever, because you're going to want it to go down and it's going to refund you about 75%. And no matter how heavy we are have like a slow float down because of the type of legs that these are. The main thing I don't like about the spec is the fact that it doesn't really dodge too much, but at the same time you have 16k health, so you can absorb a lot of damage, so you may not need to dodge as much, or as long as you're further away, some of your dodges become a little bit better. Alright, so for this match, I'm going against a better missile build, essentially more damage and more defense, and he doesn't really have to worry about his energy in any way because he's using quad legs, kind of just hovers around. At the beginning, I'm just trying to like see if I can match his DPS, and I noticed that I'm technically losing a race here. And then I tried something weird, I believe, in this match where I try to do essentially, I just go above him and try to mess up his camera, and he kind of just sits underneath me. That didn't really help out too much because he is using those main weapons on his arms, and they kind of just spout up and shoot forward, so that didn't really work out in my favor. So for this one, I go for, hey, let me go ahead and probably try the stay away approach. So as soon as I tag him, I might try to step back. Yep, that's what I do. I get out of his range before he gets his volley. I noticed that he just got his off, and I was able to dodge a little bit of it. Only took about 1,000 damage there. And so for this part, I'm paying a lot of attention to his volley since he's using essentially the same main weapon. Not really do much about his back weapons. They just harass you. They don't really do too much damage, but I am lightweight, so I don't really have that much health. So this is where I start to get a little bit desperate. I'm like, man, I cannot lose this. I'm already down to about 1/10 of my health. So I paid heavily attention to his missile volleys, essentially while just letting mine go. So right now I'm just gonna go ahead and boost forward because I do have the momentum speed over him, and I don't think he really picks up on my change of plans here. So just notice his volleys and where my mech goes. Volleys out, no damage. And I do that about 3 times there. So I essentially say, hey, that's the game plan. Let's go ahead and pay attention to his attack pattern. And mine are going to be a little bit harder to see because my 2 back missiles kind of just shoot a small pod out first, then dispersed. And he probably won't be able to dodge them anyways since he's a lot heavier. See, same kind of game plan. I did get hit with those volleys there. It's pretty bad. So here they come. Let's see if I dodge this. Okay, probably took like 1 missile out of the 20 there. So if anything, we're just trying to literally just mitigate his damage as much as we can as we take that full volley, as I say that, while getting our damage in. I go ahead and create a bubble. I'm not sure if I stay around it. I think I was really just trying to bait his ability, and I thought I was actually going to die once he actually didn't do anything. Ended up getting the win there. Alright, going into this, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, so I just kind of go with my normal game plan. Obviously, just hop around and start spamming our missiles here. My back missiles in this particular build are a little bit different, a little bit more straightforward shooting. So I try to get a little bit distance. Once he stops moving, I try to deploy them. The one on my left hand shoulder is a little bit more of a harassing piece. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but it shoots out a volley of I believe about 6 missiles really quickly. And of course on my right arm, that's the high damage, only shoots 2 kinetic missiles really quickly. But if you're too close, it really depends on like where your opponent is here. I'm getting a little bit desperate, so I just kind of hang back and just trying to just pump out whatever trigger happens first. Helps me get the win here. So for the second match, I believe I just try to go a little bit more damage heavy. I try to get more of my volleys out, and I just stay clear because obviously I have the height advantage and he doesn't seem to know how to get up to me. So this is generally the game plan that I employ in most of my attacks, in most of the games. Of course, you just adjust according to how your opponent will play. Most of the times, a lot of people will just try to overboost to you, do a little side-to-side dodge, and then of course get you in a melee combo. But we are a little bit more nimble than most permaflight builds, so we can go ahead and dodge, or even just cut our boosters off and try to like fall down and then dodge underneath them and then fly back up immediately. They kind of like loop-de them, if that makes any sense. If you haven't joined in the conversation yet, along with thousands of other players, be sure to check out this video right here where we discuss the communities that seem to be hating Armored Core the most. And of course, check out our full review of Armored Core 6 right here. I know life can be hard out there, guys, but keep your head up, keep moving forward, keep challenging yourself, and most importantly, let nothing stop you. Peace out.